Presto,
We're
we are
live.
live.
Presto. Here we go.
Oops, hang on.
Trying out a few little looks for myself anyway.
Trying to wreck
All right,
my
you
house here.
ready?
Hold on. No, not yet. Hold
What are you wrecking your house?
on. I'm trying to. Jeez.
Holy mackerel.
All right, I'm ready. Here we
Yep.
go.
All right, ready? Here we go. I
I
pledge
pledge allegiance
allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag
of
of
the
the
United States
United
of
States of
America,
America
to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it
stands
stands,
one
one
nation
nation, under
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for all.
justice for all. Woo! I have no music to play. So my brother may have some music.
Yeah, you never know. I might have
Have
something
a
up. Let's see if I
have a
can not
little bit of applause, maybe a
see
little
if I can
gunshot.
not wreck this. And there we go. Hey, there we go. We got something going.
Did you hear that?
What's that?
Nope. The gunshot is not working on mine. So your screen's falling over.
I know.
Ask your
Rick
wife to
and
come help
Jeff.
you. Unfiltered, ladies and gentlemen. We are unfiltered tonight. It is July 6th. Tuesdays after Independence Day for you ungrateful anti European faction. You know, you got the freedom and salvation you have from the king and the queens. You live in the great country of the United States of America. Proud to be American. Proud to be an American. Proud to be in America. Proud to be an American. Hello, everyone, says my
Yes.
brother. So I am
Hello,
wearing
everybody.
my Pirates of the Caribbean
Hello there,
uh,
ladies and gentlemen.
little here. I get a little hair
There
coming
you
down
go.
here so people can see it. Yeah,
Johnny Depp
yeah.
action going on there.
Oh, Johnny Depp action. There you go. Got to comb my hair. Get it going. Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean. We are the
All
Pirates
right.
of the Airwaves. Pirates
We
of
are
the
live
Airwaves tonight,
now.
ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So
And yeah, so we're gonna on this we might as well talk about 4th of July. How was your 4th of July, brother?
my 4th of July was very good. My wife and I decided to go to Disneyland to see the flag retreat ceremony, which they have a really amazing flag retreat ceremony, and they invite all the members of the local armed forces, whether you're active duty or uh, veteran, to go up there. They play your theme song for whatever branch of the military you're in, and you can go up there. I did not go up there. I don't know why. I just feel like I can enjoy the things sitting back there watching everybody else go up. I don't have a problem with that. Because I am a United States Air Force veteran, in case you didn't know that. My brother is
And I
too.
am too.
We're both veterans. So,
Yeah,
so, uh, so we go ahead.
I find it I find it a little uncomfortable when people tell me thank you for your service. I appreciate it, but I don't know
Yeah,
what to say. I'm like,
yeah,
I just say it was my pleasure. That's what I've come up with now. It was my
yeah.
pleasure,
That's a
because it
good
was.
good comeback. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
enjoyed it,
And
and happy to be there.
we yeah, we didn't actually get into the military during where there's times of war or anything or conflict. I went in 82. My brother, I think, went in 79 or 80,
I went
right?
in 81 to 85, and I was in
Oh,
there when we
81.
went. I was in there when we went to Grenada.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were
Not much
like,
of a conflict, but it was there.
yeah, there's a 2-minute conflict there. Yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
so
Our planes flew over. I think maybe for 7 days, never dropped a bomb, never fired a shot.
that's terrible.
Yeah,
Well, I
so
mean, it's
yeah,
good, I
no, it's
guess.
good. It's good actually. Yeah,
Yeah, I shouldn't say it's terrible, but I mean, it's,
yeah.
you know,
But
and we were there to do the job, and we, just like everybody else, we put our lives on the line, and we signed a piece of paperwork that said we would deliver our life to our country if we needed to. It
right,
just happened that we were in the military at a point in time where they didn't have the conflict, and those that have been in the military when they did have the conflict, I can't even fathom. I mean, we did war games, and it is, I'm sure, is absolutely nothing like having live rounds of ammo blowing by your head or through your arm or your foot or
right,
your leg or stepping on an
yeah,
IED. So,
yeah.
and that's one of the reasons I think for myself, I don't know about my brother, but for myself, that's one of the reasons where it's like I don't really, uh, I don't really promote like, oh yeah, I was in the military. I'm a veteran, right?
Right.
Because it's like, well, yes, I am a veteran, and it should and does come with benefits, but it wasn't like we
Steve Payton is
were.
watching. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Steve, how's it going? It wasn't like we were sacrificing a lot, and the men and boys that have done it since then have sacrificed a lot, so
Yeah.
um
Well, when I got out, I got in the Air National Guard because they had the same type of planes, A-10s up in Syracuse, New York, and I was in there for 4 years, I think. And
right.
and then they switched over to F-16s, and I didn't like the F-16, so I got out. And I couldn't have, and I got out early, so they told me I had to be on the inactive reserve because I got out early. I said, okay, no problem. And then Iraq happened, and so they sent me a letter saying and this letter came to me in like September. It says in January, hey Steve, all is well here too. And they sent me a letter, said in January sometime you're going to come for a physical. This has nothing to do with whatever they called Iraqi freedom. Was that what it was called?
Operation Freedom, maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, something
like
like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, it had nothing to do with that. And I said, yeah, right. Whatever. Well, then we went in and ripped them a new butt, and they sent me a letter, and like about a month before I was supposed to go up there, said, never mind. Yeah, it had nothing to do with Iraqi freedom.
Yeah.
And whatever it was. That was just
We basically crush it in a matter of 90 days, so we don't really need any more help. And I
right.
remember when that was going on. There's some other things I won't talk about because it really isn't pertinent to the show. But it's I remember Mom was like, "Oh my gosh, it's terrible. There's going to be a war." I said, "Mom, this war's not going to last long."
Right.
They have no idea the experience and power of the U.S. military. And
Right.
I've always felt that. I've always felt like we have a superior power, a superior nation, and a superior fighting force until the last 4 years.
And Barack Obama too, both of them.
Yeah, because
Well,
Barack Obama was getting rid of anybody like I heard, and I don't know if this is true, so I should probably do an investigation on this and see if it's true. But I heard that while he was the president, he was going through and asking their officers if you were called upon by the U.S. government to fight American citizens, would you do it? And everyone that said no, they made them resign out of the military. I was like, well, that seems a little weird. Isn't that what the Constitution
isn't that
says?
something that you can't? Yeah.
Yeah, the military is not supposed to be fighting against American citizens. So it's like, wait a minute, that seems wrong. So that's another reason I wasn't really a big Barack Hussein Obama fan. So hey,
Plus,
look,
his middle name's Hussein. You keep saying that, so that's that you didn't like that either.
Hussein.
Yeah,
No, his middle name is Hussein because he was Muslim.
that's what I just said. Hussein.
Yeah. I thought you said insane.
Yeah.
He was insane. His middle name was Hussein, but his name was Barack. So yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Barry Soetoro. Barry Soetoro, is that what his name was? Yeah, Barry Soetoro.
I don't know that guy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's the pre-Barack Hussein Obama name for the Barack Hussein Obama senator slash presidential candidate president. So
On the other
but
hand, Barack Obama, I voted for him the first time. I thought he was going to do good. I really did. And I couldn't vote for him the second time, even though I know he was going to win anyways. I just couldn't vote for him. Yeah, because I remember even his presidential acceptance speech, or I don't know if they call it the acceptance speech. I don't know what they call it, but the first time they get up there and they give their big speech, I loved it. It was awesome. The things he said in it were like really good. And then he just never did any of this stuff. And then he started the war on the police. He really did. And people argue this with me, and you know what? You weren't paying attention because the very first guy that this crap started to happen was the hands up, don't shoot, hands up, don't shoot, which never happened, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
And
never happened.
And the facts of this case is the guy reached into the police officer's car and grabbed his gun and fired a shot off. Okay.
Right.
Then he ran. The police officer got off. Then he charged the police officer, and the police officer shot him. Okay.
Yeah.
So when they say he shouldn't have died over stealing some cigarettes or a cigar,
Which is
I,
that's
I,
also what he did
I,
prior to
I
that. He
agree with
stole some
you.
stuff out of
You're
the
absolutely
store.
right.
So
But that's not why he got shot. And
right,
anyways, Barack Obama says the police were wrong in this and
right.
didn't back them up. And that was the beginning of this bullshit that we got going on now.
Hey,
And
but he did call the guy to the White House and have a beer with him, so that settled it all down, right? That made all
which guy, the
better.
police officer?
Yeah, the police officer. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure
oh,
it's the
that's
same
right.
police officer.
I
Yeah,
do remember that. Now that you say that,
which
yeah,
I
I do
thought
remember.
that's
But
what an
but
asinine
it didn't
thing to
matter
do.
because then there
So
was other things, and he
yeah,
didn't back the police anymore again. Where
yeah,
before that, the president will always stand up and say, "You know what? Let's let the facts come out. And let's see what happens."
yep.
Instead of bad mouthing the police. Beth Smay is watching. Hello, Beth. Instead of
Hello,
bad
Beth.
mouthing the police, and that's what Barack Obama did. So there you
Yeah.
go.
And the funny thing is that a lot of people don't realize this, but Barack Obama was the deporter in chief. He was
Oh yeah.
president that deported the most illegal aliens of any other president prior to him. And I
Mm-hmm.
think prior to this term of President Trump, right?
Carol Eaton Heath is watching. Hello, Carol.
Hey, Carol. But then he also was the president that bombed the most foreign countries, like bombed the hell out of foreign countries, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so it seems a contradictory term that he would get the Nobel Peace Prize before he ever became president, and he was
He
bombing the hell out of all the countries
he
around
got
the
the
world.
Nobel Peace Prize. He accepted it after he went into a war.
Yeah,
I remember that. I'm like, why
yeah.
would you even accept that? You turn it down that fact. It was ridiculous.
Well, you know
But
why he accepted it? You know why he accepted it?
why?
So here's a little known fact that you might want to look up. You know who one of the other
Bruce
alternative
O'Brien is
Nobel
watching
Peace?
too. Hello,
Hey
Bruce.
Bruce, how's it going?
Shabana Ramlochin is watching
They're all
too. Hello,
watching on your
Shabana.
show.
Yep.
So anyway, one of the alternative Nobel Peace Prize winners, you know who it was? Potential Peace Prize? Rush Limbaugh
Oh
was
yeah.
nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize the same time that Barack Hussein Obama won it, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is classic. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, well, we don't want Rush to win, so we better vote for Barack, even though he's like going to war. So
Carol says Obama segregated America. Yes, he did.
yeah, yes, he
And
did.
and I had a conversation with a relative of mine, and I don't like to mention the people I conversate with as relatives because me and this person were heated on this. And
it wasn't me. Well, maybe it was.
It was not you. No, this is way worse than you and me ever got it. But
oh
I explained to this person that Barack Obama deported more people than anybody, and they just don't want to hear it.
Right.
They don't want to hear it. Trump is bad. Trump is bad. Trump is bad.
Yeah.
It's just like, and they have rights. And that's where it started. They have rights. And like, no, they don't have rights. Well, yes, they do. It says right in the Constitution. I go, have you read the Constitution? Yes, I have. Well, have you read the preamble? Preamble says this is all about the citizens of the United States. Well, in this article, it says the people in the United States, not the citizens. Okay. It's an amendment. And I'm like, okay, but it doesn't say it's amending the preamble. It's amending something else about this stuff.
Right.
And anyway, it was a very loud conversation that I had, and we're still buddies. We're still relatives. We still love each other, and that's the way it should be. You should be able to do this stuff and come out with it on the other side. But anyways, nobody wants to hear that Barack Obama deported more people than anybody else in history of our country.
Right.
But
so if I remember correctly, you're talking about the 14th Amendment. Is that correct?
It was the 14th Amendment. Yes.
So, which is funny because most people don't know what the 14th Amendment is. It says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the states wherein they reside, right? So you can't be subject to the jurisdiction thereof if you're not a citizen.
It wasn't the 14th Amendment. Let me find it. I'll tell you what it was. On this one, I think.
Talking about the preamble?
No, the amendment we were talking about is Amendment 5, I think it was.
Fifth Amendment? That's no person shall be held to answer for capital or otherwise infamous crime unless a presentment or indictment of grand jury, except in case arising in the land of naval forces or in the militia when in the actual service in time of war or public danger. Is that the one?
Let me see. Maybe the Fourth Amendment is the right of people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by the oath of affirmation, particular described the place be searched. And that wasn't it. Was it the Fifth Amendment? No person shall be held answerable to capital. It says something about in it. It said something about persons in the country. No
That's the
person.
14th Amendment.
Oh, so what is so like here? The Fifth Amendment says no person shall be held to answer. And what the argument was, it doesn't say no citizen. It says no person.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're saying that was it's an amendment. It's an amendment. It's an amendment. Yeah, but it's not amending the preamble or the preamble. It's amending something else. It's not amending that because there's another amendment in here. I forget which one it was, and it actually says what it's amending. And this one doesn't say it's amending the preamble. It doesn't say it. Oh,
Yeah, I don't. Obviously I was not part of the conversation. So, but see,
yeah.
and this is part of the problem. I don't know the situation. I don't know who the person is. But the reality is, we and I include myself in this, we pick and choose what is beneficial to us or what seems beneficial to us at the time, right? But when you read the whole entirety of the Constitution of the United States, you realize this is for the citizens of America, right?
Right.
And this is based on a constitutional republic, not democracy. Because if it was democracy, then all the populous cities would rule the country. And we are not a
Exactly.
democracy; we are a constitutional republic.
Right.
And that's the other thing that people need to understand.
Right.
But when all you've heard your whole life for the last 40 years, all I've heard, well, we're a democracy. We're a democracy. No, we're a constitutional republic, and that's not the same. Yes, we have democratic values, but we have a constitution that we follow. Oh, well,
Right.
that's just for old people. A bunch of old farts wrote that. Well, the reality is the average age of the person that wrote the Constitution. You know how old that was?
35 or something like that.
I think it's less than that. I think it's like 25.
Oh,
The
yeah.
average age of the person writing
Well,
Constitution.
I think what they mean though, it was written 200 and something years ago.
Right.
But what I find funny is when they find something in there they like, they swear by it.
First Amendment. Can't tell me I can't say what I want. I can assemble. I don't care what you want. I'm going to skip the part where it says you can peaceably assemble, right? Because what does it say? Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So,
Yeah.
oh no, you said we can assemble peaceably. You can assemble. If you're not being peaceful, then you can get arrested.
Right.
You
Well,
don't
it's
have the right
mostly
to-
peaceful. Mostly
Yeah.
peaceful.
Well, why do you think they say that? Why do you think they say, well, it's mostly peaceful? Because it would fit that amendment if it was
Right.
mostly peaceful.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing too. Let's just say you got a gathering of
right.
of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And 1,000 of them are burning stuff down. It's still mostly peaceful. 9,000 of them are peaceful.
Yeah. Well, they're not really burning anything down, but
Tim Smith is on.
Hey,
Hello,
Tim Smith.
How you doing?
Who is Shabana? There's Shabana's watching too.
Yep, she lives down near the city.
Cool.
Shabana.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what we have in America. The experiment that we have in America is pretty phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation with my wife many times. I might have even talked to you about it, Rick. I'm not sure. But basically, as a born again Christian, we have a responsibility to follow the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? And I fail 100% of the time. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? But I also feel that because I'm a born again Christian and God gave us the rights and freedoms that we have in the United States of America, we have a responsibility to uphold them and to uphold the Constitution of the United States and to say, look, we have freedoms and rights in this country that most other nations don't have. Most other nations don't have the First Amendment right. Right? They're like, hey, we don't like what you're saying. You're going to jail. Right? In Britain right now, if
Yes,
you
I was
pay
just going to say
something
that.
wrong on Facebook, they will arrest you and put you
Yeah.
to jail if it's not um, DEI friendly. Let's say it that way, right? If it's not DEI friendly, your neighbor who was Bob for the first 34 years of his life just wants to come out as Regina. And you're like, no, that's Bob. Oh, you're not identifying him properly. We're going to send you to jail. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't have that constitutional right. We have that in America, and most people don't understand it. And oh, by the on the same token, what's the Second Amendment? A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And our government is constantly, whether it's your local, state, federal, they're constantly trying to remove our rights and our freedoms to have guns. Well, you don't need that gun. Well, you don't need that gun. And my brother asked me one time, hey, well, what do you think the limitation is? And what did I tell you?
Nothing.
There shouldn't be.
So if I can create an atomic bomb in my basement, it's okay.
Sure, why not?
No.
Now you'll have to submit to the atomic regulations. And they'll say, well, you can't really have that in your basement because all your neighbors are going to die of uranium poisoning. But I mean,
well, not if I take care of it right. It won't.
right
Until I
but
explode it.
it's only bad when I pull the pin. That's all I can say.
Right.
No, but I mean, the reality is the likelihood that you and I are ever going to have an atomic bomb is slim to none, right? But if I can go buy a 50 caliber rifle, why shouldn't I be able to go buy a 50 caliber rifle? Right? If I can buy an automatic AR-15 and M16, why shouldn't I be able to buy an M16? Right? Now, if you really want to get hairy and crazy, what about a belt-fed, machine gun? Those belt-fed machine guns that they show on the, all the fancy Schwarzenegger movies, like Predator,
yeah,
the minigun, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, tank, jet. I couldn't fly a jet, so how would I ever have anything to do with a jet, right? But I think that we run into a problem when we say, well, you can't have that. Well, why? Right?
And I'll tell you why. Because there are crazy people in this world who will use it to kill people. So you have to draw a line somewhere. Okay,
well, there's crazy people in the world that machete people to death.
No, I understand. There's people who run over people with cars. Okay.
Yeah, that's another one that happens.
I'm just saying, I don't know where the line should be drawn.
Right.
But there should be a line somewhere.
And I agree with you. I don't necessarily agree that there should be a line somewhere.
My problem is this with drawing a line too is I understand our government, and our government is stupid. Okay. Once you let them draw a line, then they're going to start moving the line.
Right.
And they're going to move it one way, then the other party's going to move it back, and it's going to go back and forth. And so I don't know what the answer is. I do know. I kind of do know what the answer is. You have to protect our children first, so you have to put armed guards in all the schools. We spend enough money on finding out whether butterflies have sex on cocaine that we could afford people to go to guard schools. Okay.
Hey, and
secondly,
may I interrupt just for a second? May I interrupt just for a second?
Go ahead.
So we were talking earlier about military experience. Do you think that the guys who have military experience, who fought in Iraq or Afghanistan, and they're mentally stable, would enjoy guarding our kids in their schools to prevent some wacko from coming in there and shooting them up? I will guarantee you that they would love that job. I'm just saying, but go ahead.
And they would guard it with their life too. That's the thing.
Absolutely, because that's what it takes.
Yes. And if you got guys like that, so the shooting guy in Tennessee, in Nashville, a year ago, 2 years ago, I don't remember what it was. He didn't go to his school where he went to school because that school was locked down and guarded. He went
about the girl
who's a guy. Or was it a guy that was
identifying? It was a girl who was identifying as a guy.
That's right. So the girl,
circumstances. Yeah.
So she went to a Catholic school because they didn't have any people guarding their place.
Right.
That's the assumption that was made because in theory, she was pissed at people at her school, but that's not the one she shot up. So I'm just gotta say, if you do it right, it can make a difference. And if everyone's doing it,
Right.
It's going to really put a damper on this. And
Yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy.
I don't think you're crazy. I think it's just, thinking about it realistically, it's like, look, we should be protecting our citizens and our children. I mean, it's not rocket science to make sure that they're safe. Our school here in Vessel has resource officers, which are local police that work at the school.
Yeah.
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 And do they carry a weapon with them? I'm guessing they probably do. They
I'm
probably have a
guessing they probably
sidearm
do.
on 'em,
Yeah.
you know,
And
The-
you could train teachers, and teachers could
if
have
they wanted to. Yeah.
yeah. Not don't make anybody do it, but if you
Right.
have a teacher who wants to do it, you could send them through training if they wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
they have one in a locked box somewhere
Yep.
where they can get to it fairly quickly. They're not going to put it on their hip. Carol says yes, they do carry guns. So
Yeah.
and I bet you're not going to have any shootings there. I
No.
bet money on that actually. Or
You might get
if
a
you-
round off. I'm just saying, but it
if you
won't
did, it'd be
last very long.
short lived. It'd be short lived for sure. Yeah.
And here's another thing that a lot of people don't understand, and I've seen this at multiple places, so I have to assume that at this moment in time that it's true, right? So I'm not going to argue against it. I'm not arguing for it, but there's statements that are being made by multiple people that every one of these shooters are on the antidepressant ADHD drugs, right?
That's
So
not
they're on
true.
these.
I'm not saying there weren't some on it, but it's not all of them. It's not even close to all of them. I'm pretty
Well,
sure.
that's what I've heard. Even the girl in Tennessee.
I'm just telling you that's not the truth. I
Well-
don't. Yeah, somebody's trying to
So-
make a name for themselves. That's all that is.
No, but see, it wasn't one person saying it. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like one person, oh, I want to make a name for myself. It's multiple people have said, yeah, we've been investigating this. And every one of the kids that were involved in these mass shootings were on a drug for ADHD or
John
something
He's just
of that
watching.
nature.
Hello, John. Yeah.
So anyway,
Well,
John
maybe that's something we'll have to
Hees.
look
I don't know who
into.
you are, but welcome.
He's a
Yeah.
postal carrier.
Oh, cool. USPS. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Actually, he might be a boss now. I don't. Did Ricky say John became a boss? I don't remember. But anyways, yeah. So might be something we want to look into to see how the truth of that statement is.
We could actually start instead of starting rumors like I just did. We could actually
Yeah.
start posting the truth, right?
Yeah, maybe that's an idea. I don't know. Let's go with that and see what happens. Anyways, we're all celebrating the 4th of July. I hope everybody had a good 4th of July.
4th of July, Independence Day.
Yeah, there's a lot of fireworks around here. There've been fireworks every night since then. So
Yeah.
it's only one more night after that. So this will be the second night. But
Well,
yeah.
here's a food for thought, just to get off of my last statement, right?
Mhm.
So in what was it, 1774, 75? When did we have the Boston Tea Party? When was that? When did that occur?
I think 1770. Oh, let me look it up. I think 1774 though.
Yeah, so one of the kicking reasons for starting the Declaration of Independence and to fight against Europe is 1773, December 16th, 1773.
Okay, yeah.
So the Tea Party was the protest against British tax on tea. We're talking
Yes.
about a British tax on tea.
Yes.
And how much taxes are we paying on our product today? Like in the great state of California, right? My brother's going to tell me I got to move, and I totally agree. Great state of California, 59 cents per gallon of gas is California state tax, right?
And they're going to raise it.
They're going to raise it. So everyone's like, oh, they're raising it 60 cents. Well, no, it's already 59 cents right now, and they're going to raise it to 63 cents starting. Actually, I think it was starting July 1st. So, yeah. So,
But that's not even the biggest reason why California's gas is so expensive. They make the gas people refine it in a way that is way more expensive to refine than other states do. And that's what adds the price to California.
Well, also they're closing down the refineries in California. In
Yeah,
2026, there's no longer going to be refineries in California.
yeah.
And where is the great state of California going to get their gas? Are they going to get it from Texas? No. Are they going to get it from Oklahoma? No. Are they going to get it from North Dakota or South Dakota? No. They're going to go to some foreign nation where it's dirtier gas than we're making here in the United States of America and pay a premium price for it so that people in California can have gas. But it's going to be better because it's not processed here in California. That's how
Well,
insane the leadership is in
well,
California.
what you I thought you told me wasn't that they were trying to get rid of the processing plants, but the processing plant said, "Look, all the regulations and stuff they're going through, I can't do this and make money,
Right.
so that's why I'm closed." Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But
California's just stupid, is what it is.
why do you think that is? Because California's like, hey, we can go to in 2035 be all electric, but we got to get these refineries out of this state. We got to get gas cars out of this state. The only way we can do that is if there's no refineries, gas prices are
So
$20 a gallon.
they won't be getting gas from somebody else because they'll just be getting a little trickle here and a little trickle there from
Oh, they'll
wherever
be
they can get
buying
it.
it. They'll be buying it
What?
because you
No,
know
their plan is
these
to get rid of
rich.
gas altogether. So
No, well, that's what they say for the public, right? But these
Mhm.
rich people that live in, Sacramento, they're still driving gas cars. They're not all driving electric cars.
I
They
know.
have boats, they have gas-powered boats, they have gas-powered planes, jet fuel, all this stuff. They fly around the world to talk about global warming, right? This is the way that our leaders in the state of California and a lot of other states is the way they do it. Well, we got to get rid of the gas cars. We got to get rid of gas, and I'm going to tell the world that while I'm flying around the world in my diesel or my jet plane, my
Mhm.
private jet plane
Private
where there's
jet.
me and my wife are in it. So
Mhm.
I don't want to take coach, with the American Airlines or Delta because that would just be too belittling to me.
Well, we can get
I'm
into
going to take
that
my
if you want to do a
private
little bit
plane.
too. That the big green scam. Uh, so I don't remember the numbers exactly, but the carbon dioxide in the air right now is like 0.3%, or is it
Point
3?
zero four, point zero four
0.04%,
percent
and of that 0.04, 0.03 is man-made. Is
is
that
in America. So,
is is
so they're
man-made
saying
in
that,
America, not worldwide, just
right,
America. So that
correct,
if we cut ours completely out tomorrow,
right,
we would reduce 0.03% of 0.04%, which is
right.
like
Point
a big,
zero 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 3%,
yeah,
something along those lines.
yeah,
It might be 1, 2, but anyway,
which would make
yeah,
no effect on the whatever global crap that they're talking about anyway. You know,
right, right. So the whole Green New Deal scam, and that's one of the things. Whether you like President Trump or not, it's one of the things I like about the fact that he's like, you know what, the Green New Deal is ridiculous. We're not buying any more solar panels. We're not buying any more wind turbines because they're all made in China. So we're basically supporting China. And
that's what we're
if you want
doing. The
if you want to
batteries
talk
are all
about
made in
supporting
China,
China, yeah. If you want to talk about supporting China, uh,
anywhere but China, by the way.
anywhere but China, yes. So the great company of Apple, and that's one of the companies I support. I don't support them like, oh, I'm financially support them. I love Apple products. I've been using Apple products for so long. I've been supporting Apple products for over 39 years. For the last 20 years, they have been investing $55 billion a year into China to teach these people how to build their phones.
Hmm.
And most of these people that are working in the factories, they're now engineers that have been trained to be engineers to work on the phones that we buy, and they're still only paying them pennies on the dollar for what we would make in America if we were an engineer. But Apple spent $55 billion a year for the last 20 years. That's pretty close to over $1 trillion that
Yeah,
they've spent
yeah, but
in
you got to
China.
pay $1,000 for your phone. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah. And oh, by the way, China has a rule that any company that is in China
Hmm.
has to be under the CCP. and the CCP has control over it, and they can take all of your patents and send them over to their buddy across the way, and they can
Mhm.
use those patents to make a knockoff of your product, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
So there is the reason right there we say anywhere but China. And that is
Yeah.
the reason because they
Yep.
steal our intellectual property and they make their own stuff cheaper. And the one I can remember is Yeti has the best coolers, the best drink glasses, and China stole their intellectual property, made their own version. They didn't call it Yeti, but it was the same thing basically. So Yeti eventually had to go to China to make their stuff because they couldn't compete because China stole their patent.
They call it Itay, Itey. Itay. Itay. It's my Itay water thing instead of a
Yeah,
Yeti. Yeti
yeah,
backwards.
yeah,
It
yeah.
looks Chinese though because it says Itay. I'm
Right.
just making it up. I'm just
I
making it up.
understand.
So
I understand.
yeah,
But yeah,
it's
so that's
just
why we say nowhere anywhere but China, and that may
yes,
change here. And I gotta say this. So like I can remember Clinton, I can remember Bush, I can remember Obama, I can remember Trump and Biden. Trump is first time in, Biden all said China was stealing our intellectual property. Every
yeah,
single one of them.
yeah,
This president here is the first guy who's trying to do something about it.
yeah,
Oh, we're gonna do something about it. We're gonna do all of them said that. We're gonna do something about it.
yeah.
Not a single one of them did anything about it. Trump is trying to do something. And I will say this about the quote unquote big beautiful bill, because it's got there's a lot of stuff I'm not a big fan of in the bill, but here's what I gotta say now to all the people who love Trump and think Trump can do no wrong. You have something now. Now there is no question. If something goes wrong now, it's Trump's fault. Okay? Because of this big beautiful bill. If this doesn't
Right,
work, it's his
right.
fault. Okay?
Yeah,
If it
I
works,
can't argue
he
with
can
that.
take all the credit. I'll give him all the
Right,
credit if it works. If it doesn't work, it's his fault. And we will find out. And that's what I try to tell everybody. I think it's more good than bad. There's some stuff in it I don't like. And I think it has a possibility to be really good, depending on how many jobs we get back from overseas and plants we get built here. But that's all theory, and we got to
right,
see how it plays out. And it's going to play out in the next 2 years or so. We've got the bill through. Um, the let's just see how it works out. And there's nobody else to blame now. Nobody else to
right.
blame but
Yeah,
but Trump now. Either he takes the good or he takes the bad, and we will find out. It's
right,
different, and that's what I try to tell everybody. All these people since Carter was president, and I'm not blaming Carter, but all the people in our government since Carter was president up until now have done nothing to stop our jobs from going overseas.
right.
If jobs come back from overseas and our economy gets strong, Trump can take all the credit because this is
Yeah,
different. This is different.
yeah.
Okay. And you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. Insanity.
Yeah, that's the definition of insanity for sure.
So
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we're gonna find out now. We're gonna find out.
yeah.
Jeff and I, we go back and forth. Jeff is more of a Trump guy than me.
Yep,
But
sure.
but like I said, now this is what he wanted. He got it. It's different, and we will find out. That
Yeah,
and like I said, I sound like negative, but I'm really trying not to be negative. I'm trying to be in the middle. This is all
yeah,
theory because this is all theory.
yeah.
I personally think it's going to be good. But we will find out. That's the thing.
Right.
It's there now, and we're going to find. There's no more arguing. We got it done. Now let's see how it works.
And you know what we're not going to hear the rest of this year?
What's that?
Hey, we need to get a budget expansion bill because we haven't
Exactly.
figured out how to pass a budget yet. We don't know what we're doing, so we need to get a compromise to go into
Right.
next year,
Right.
right? So we're not going to hear that at all, which I think is fabulous. So
Well, it
when
could be
was
fabulous. We'll see. Because if it just keeps adding to the deficit, then it's not fabulous.
right,
But if
right,
it works out and the deficit starts coming down, then yes, it's fabulous.
right. Well, when was the last time that we heard that they passed a budget, whether or not it's a balanced budget or not, but they passed a budget in before July 4th of the year?
Was that back when Clinton was president? I think. I'm not sure about that. I heard.
It
I
may
think it
have
was
been
though.
it may have been in between his first and second term because when let's see, was it the trying to think, was it this? Maybe it was halfway through his first term when the Republicans, for the first time in decades, overtook the House and the Senate, right? And they had the contract with America, and they were so strong in their contract with America, and the American people were supporting them so much, it forced President Clinton to change his budget and to get a balanced budget, because one of their issues in the contract with America, if I remember correctly, was having a balanced budget, and that was the first time in a long time that they actually had a balanced budget. But that was because Congress was won by Republicans and they had a contract with America, so that
You
was their
can
thing.
tomato tomato. You've always said it was the Republicans who did it. Clinton was president. I'm giving him the credit. You can do what you want, but he was president. I'm going to give him the credit.
You
Just
can give
like
him the credit all you want, but the
just
reality
like
is that
just
that
like
was
when
not,
Bush is president, I'm going to give Bush the credit. And when
but
Obama was president, when Reagan
that
was
was not the
president, I give
road he
Reagan.
was going down. That was not the road he was going down
Well,
before Republicans took over Congress, because he had a full House and Senate um,
Congress hasn't passed a budget on time in 27 years.
and how long ago is 27 years? That would
So
be
do the math.
1998, right?
1998, when Clinton was president.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, there we go. And that's why I thought I heard somebody say that the other day. Actually, that's why I remember it. That's when it was. And they gave the Republicans some credit when they said it too. It wasn't just like it was Clinton. And I'll give the Republicans credit too. But I'm just saying Clinton was president, and that's when it was passed. I'm trying to get back to, because I want to get back to the big beautiful bill. I had it on.
Yeah, I got it on here.
Yeah, here we go. There we go. We got the big beautiful bill. So here's the big beautiful bill. Oh, and here's what we're getting on. We're getting
USA Today.
USA Today, and it's got the little guy on there that used to be in the cartoons that they don't play anymore. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
And he has a little law emblem on his shirt, so it's now the law of the land. So you can't say it's a presidential. What's the word I'm looking for? Presidential edict. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's not an executive order; it's the law. The law
It's the
of
law.
the land.
Yeah, it's the law.
Has been passed with the big beautiful bill.
So here's what they're saying about the big beautiful bill. Estimated cost $3.7 trillion, and that I understand is average changes in 2030 after tax and household income. So they're saying in the next 5 years it's going to cost $3.7 trillion, which it could. It also could go the other way and actually cut spending, depending on our economy and how many jobs are brought back to the U.S., like we just talked about.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if your income falls below $58,000, you're likely to lose benefits from programs such as Medicaid, health insurance, marketplaces, supplemental nutrition assistance programs, which used to be SNAP, and student loans. Okay, so if you're in the lower income, under 20,000, you're going to lose 5.4% or $885. If you're between 20 and 58,000, you're going to lose $1,090 or 2.3%. Hey, and Neil Ramlashan is on. Hey, Neil, how you doing, brother?
You know his last name well, huh?
I can't say his last name. I never do. I just call him Anil. That's it. And
there you go. That's all you need to know. Welcome, Anil. It's great to have you.
So if you make 58 to 105,000, you're going to get a 0.1% increase or $45. If you make 105 to 195K, you're going to get $2,500, 1.7 increase. If you make 195 to 296K, $4,625 better, and that's a 1.9 increase. If you make 296 to 436, you're going to get 6,805, which is a 1.9 increase. 436 to 1.1 million, you're going to get $17,000, 2.6 increase. 1.1 million to 4.8 million, 1.5 increase of $27,000, and 4.8 million, you get a 0.5 increase of $72,000. And it says if your income is in the top 0.1%, you'll have even greater benefit in 2027. You'll save $301,550 or 2.3%, partially because of other changes that will sunset by 2030. So, and this is basically what the original Trump passed this in his first term, and basically they're just extending
2017.
They're
making it law.
So basically,
they're not
these
extending it,
savings,
they're making it law.
Yeah, so basically these savings you already have, but you're not losing them. Okay,
Right.
And it basically is more for the rich and less for the poor, but everybody's getting something, and that's what I've said all along. And like I said, this is different, and they think it's going to spur our economy. Well, we're going to find out now. We're going to find out. And there's more tax cuts and credits and additional Social Security.
No tax on tips.
Under $2,384 a month, entitled to 12 kickbacks in July. Tap for list. Oh, I'm going to have to look into that. Social Security recipients getting 12 kickbacks. I'll have to look and see what that is.
Yep. And there's also another thing that they're raising the standard deductions for families. So
yes, they are raising standard deduction for families and singles and head of household. They're raising. Yes. I don't know what it used to be, but they're raising.
Yeah. So like the standard deduction for a married couple filing jointly is like $35,000, I think now.
Yeah, I remember the first time he did it.
$31,500 for married couples.
I was filing long form. I was keeping my mileage, going to doctor's appointments, and once he made that change, I just took the standard deduction. I didn't have to do all that because it was at least that much, and probably was a little more. So that worked out for me. I remember that.
Yeah.
Now with me being an Uber driver, it doesn't work out with me. I still have to go long form because I have to do long form for Uber for sure.
Well, your individual for married couples is going to be $31,500. You're going to spend more than $31,500 in taxes and gas mileage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just.
I won't be there just with that Uber, but so last year I grossed in Uber $33,000, and I end up after all my deductions claim $5,900.
What do you mean?
So
out of the 33,000, you claim 5,000. So basically, though, at 33,000, if you took the 31.5, you're
okay, but that doesn't count
less than 5,000.
Elsie's income and doesn't count my other income.
Right.
So with that, we're definitely.
Oh, that's right. You do have that other income. I forgot. You have that.
Yeah, don't forget that other income,
brother.
Yeah.
There's a long story behind that that nobody needs to know. So anyway, it's that other income. So
where are we
mental health crisis. I work with it and see it every day. So tell us a little bit more about that, Carol.
Yeah, there definitely is a mental health crisis, and was something I was getting to, and then you interrupted me, and I forgot to get back.
Oh, my bad. I'll shut up.
Yeah, well, don't you say another word the rest of the day.
Not like we're having a podcast or a conversation or anything like that.
Yeah. So anyways, that's another thing we have to take care of our mentally ill, and we don't. And back when Reagan was president, they started closing all the mental institutions, and he was pressured by people to do this. We need to open them back up. These people should not be on the street. They're just Donna Cook is watching. Hello, Donna.
Hello, Donna.
She's a Windsor graduate.
Hello, Windsor graduate.
Yeah, we used to play a card game called RF. So I'm going to say Rat.
Yeah. Hey, so far we've been pretty good with no swearing words. I don't think we've.
I could break that up in no time whatsoever.
There's been no Johnny Cash entering the room or anything like that. So,
So we're getting more defense, increased spending, $153 billion, includes $25 billion for Golden Dome, and I believe we have to have the Golden Dome. That's my personal opinion. With these idiots, and Iran's a saber rattler. They're just shooting off their mouth. Oh yeah, we won the war. They told their people, we won the war against the and we're gonna keep doing uranium, and we're gonna get an atomic bomb. Okay, let's see how that works out for you.
Hey,
But
just
you
just
never
a
know.
quick aside.
Hey, my son Richard Bennett's on. Hello, son. How you doing?
Hello, Ricky or Richard, whichever you want to be called. Welcome. Good to see you, nephew. Well, I can't see you, but good that you're here.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we don't offend you very much. So
very much. So,
I will try
um,
hard to not to. Yeah, there you
so
go.
25 billion for the Golden Dome includes 7.5 billion for quality of life improvements to housing, healthcare, childcare, and education.
You must have
Uh,
skipped over the tax on tips. I'm just saying. So,
they didn't. No, I haven't got to it yet. Well, maybe it was
oh,
before maybe it was for the bill. No, so it's. I'm probably coming to it. Um, let's
well,
see.
I
More
thought I
for
was on the
border
same page.
security,
Yeah.
which I think is great. Private colleges war chest tax applies to schools with 3,000 or more tuition payment students. The larger schools endowment per student, the higher tax rate in endowments. 500K to 750K tax rate is 1.4%. 750K to 2 million is 4%, and over 2 million tax rate is 8%. I don't know what that means. Actually, private war chest. I don't know.
You're reading it well, though. I can tell you that.
They're
Just
taking
saying.
money. They're probably, instead of giving them money, they're taxing them now. I don't know, but
You pass it. So if you back up, you can see quite a ways up there where it talks about tax on tips. No tax on tips or overtime wages. Starting this year, the first $25,000 of tips will be tax deductible through 2028 with 150,000 income limit.
oh, there it is.
300,000
Yeah.
filing jointly. Yeah.
Oh no, that's not. I still don't see it. You're saying it's up there.
Well, on mine, I thought we were on the same page. It's right below the graphs and stuff that you're reading because it has like the law guy, and it's
Yeah.
like he has the paperwork, and it's all the paperwork in the
Oh yeah, there
graph.
it is. Other tax
Yeah.
cuts, credits, and gifts. Additional tax cuts for. No, I
Yeah.
didn't see it. Salt.
Yep. Increased salt deduction, which is a state and local taxes. Says
Mhm.
because I'm not really sure. During Trump's first term, a lot of people were complaining because he eliminated the salt tax in a lot of states, right? And California, I think, was one of them because
Yeah.
they said, well, he didn't like Gavin Newsom or whatever it was. But it's like I don't. Was Gavin Newsom the governor back then? Maybe so. Yeah.
No, I don't think. Maybe he was. I don't know, but yeah.
No, it might
But
have been
no.
Jerry Brown.
Well, he
Oh,
did do it in my opinion because he didn't like the blue states and the way they were taxing
right.
people. That was
Yeah.
that's my opinion. He did do that because of that. Because basically what the salt tax is if you pay a lot of taxes in your state, you can claim that on your federal. So people that were in the states that are being taxed really high were getting
Right.
more money back from the federal, and he didn't think that was fair.
Well, you
And
know what SALT stands for, right?
yeah,
State and local taxes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So there you
yeah.
go. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're on the same page. What
All
didn't
right.
change? Fossil fuel projects would have let offshore oil and gas projects automatically skip federal environmental review process, so that didn't change. Truck emissions didn't change. Postal Service does not have to scrap its 72,000 electric vehicles and charging equipment. The USPS plans to purchase about 66 EVs. I was thinking about this today, actually, for whatever reason. I was thinking about this today. I'm thinking,
Where'd you see that? I didn't see. Oh, there we go. Does not have to scrap at 70.
at first I thought EVs might be a good idea. My problem with the EVs is the vehicles they have right now are 30 years old. Okay. EVs are not going to last 30 years. That's my opinion. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. So I got thinking about that. My first thought was EVs would be great for the post. I was telling my son, because in reality, you can warm them up while they're plugged in.
Right.
So it snows out. You don't have to go out and wipe them off. You just warm them up while you're sorting your mail. You go out, you're saving the post office time. You get in them. You don't have to stop at the gas station. So you're saving the post office time. You go on the road, you come back, you plug it in, and you head back in. My problem is I don't know how long they're going to last, but we'll see. We'll see again. Financial watchdogs such as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau can't have their
You
funding
skipped a
stopped.
crap ton of stuff. I'm just going to say.
I didn't skip anything in mine. Okay, here's what mine does. Here's what mine does. It starts off with the guy that's the bill.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It goes to the who benefits.
Extended tax cuts. Yep. Who benefit the least?
But wait, there's more tax cut credits.
Yep.
Below
Got that.
Okay. Blah blah blah. Then it goes right into here's the areas that get more money, which is the military. Border.
Yeah,
security.
mine goes right into no tax on tips.
Yeah, see, I don't have that.
Standard
So go ahead.
deduction. increased salt
you read that part.
deductions.
I'll go back down to where I was and pick up when you're done.
So no tax on tips. Starting this year, the first, I think I said this already, first $25,000 of tips will be tax deductible through 2028 with a
Now, is that
$150,000
all
income
tips? Does it say
limit.
all tips? Because I heard
First
cash tips.
25,000.
I
First
heard cash
25,000
tips at one time.
does not say cash or does not
Okay.
say.
I have to
just
look
says
that up.
First $25,000 of tips. That's all it says.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Jobs considered tip work are spelled out, such as food servers and beauticians. So that has they're spelling out who can get a tip. So if you get an Uber driver tip, you may not get to count that. I'm just
Well,
saying.
I'll have to look at the list because I understand what they're doing. They're saying like,
Yeah.
you can't be. You see
I'm
tip jars everywhere. You
Yeah.
see tip jars everywhere. It's
Yes.
like, why am I tipping you? You're just doing your job, you know?
Right.
But yeah,
It's
so
at
that's
the
what they're
cash
trying to
register. Yes.
yeah,
You
so
got a
that's
tip
what they're
jar
trying
at the
to
cash
stop.
register.
I would
yeah.
imagine the
Probably.
Uber drivers, taxi drivers are going to be part of that because that's
Right.
part of their income is the tip.
Yep.
There's a lot of tip going. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll find out. I'll look into
Yep.
it.
So
But
it
anyway,
says
go ahead.
starting this year, up to $12,500 of extra overtime pay will be tax deductible through 2028 with a $150,000 income limit. So if you exceed the $150,000 limit, you don't get the $12,500 of extra overtime pay tax deduction. Permanent raises standard deduction to $15,750 for individuals, $31,500 for married couples, and $23,625 for head of households. That's the raise of the permanent standard deduction. After 2025, it would be adjusted for inflation. That's interesting. So they've already
Yeah.
determined that that's going to be adjusted
Yeah.
for inflation. So if inflation goes down, does that mean the deduction goes down? I'm just wondering.
That's weird because actually the post office had one of those things in there where we got these inflation raises, and then one time inflation went down and they were trying to cut our salaries, and they ended up not not cutting our salaries. So the next time it went up, we didn't raise it. We didn't get a raise until it went over the last plateau. Which made sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Next one, increased salt deductions. State and local taxes. Taxpayers can write off a portion of their state and local taxes from their federal taxes. Raises the cap from 10,000 to 40,000 and increases 1% annually. So annually, it's going to increase 1%. So every year, you're going to get a 1% increase on your salt tax deduction potential.
Okay.
So deductions start in 2025 and falls back to $10,000 in 2029. I'm not really sure what that means. So basically, after
they're
Trump
putting
gets
a cap on it. They're putting a cap on it. Is what they're doing.
No, but it says a deduction starts in 2025 and falls back to 10,000 in 2029. So right now, raises the cap from 10,000 to 40,000 and increases 1% annually. But then in 2025, it falls back to deductions start in 2025 and falls back to $10,000 in 2029. So in 2029, it goes back to what it is right now, $10,000.
So basically, it'd be one of those things where they're going to have to re-up it if they get to that point.
Yes.
Otherwise, it'll go away. Yeah.
So they're not making it a permanent thing, which I find that fascinating because I thought that's what the whole purpose of this was, a permanent thing, right? So
I got like the stuff that's something different from the original tax breaks that were given in his first term that were going to expire. So that's something different. They're just adding that in there. So I understand why they did it. But yeah.
Senior tax deduction is the next one. Or you're
still? I don't have any
tax deduction through 2028. Each person over 65 can deduct an additional $6,000. The deduction begins phasing out at 75,000 or 150,000 if you file jointly. Bigger estate tax exemption allows people to pass $15 million of tax free to their heirs. So that's you can pass your $15 million to your heirs when you die without
I give
having
it to my son and my daughter.
Estate tax,
So that's because my wife's going to die before me, so
they don't have
all our kids.
Estate tax. They don't have the estate tax inheritance.
Our millions of dollars,
because your $15 million can pass down. So without the change, almost $14 million in exemptions would have expired at the end of the 2025 and revert to just over 7 million. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So they have an increased child tax credit, raises the child tax credit from
They
$2,000 to
they
$2,200.
they at one point were talking about doing away with um the what were just tax we were talking about where you give
Inheritance tax.
inheritance tax.
Inheritance tax.
They were
Yeah.
talking about one. That's just a stupid tax to me. Why are you taxing that? That makes no sense to me at all. If you're giving
Well,
it to your
they're
family
taxing it
member.
because they can. They're taxing
I
it because
know
they can,
it's
and we're not
crazy.
revolting against it to say no, enough is enough. Because
It's crazy.
every dollar that's in that estate has been taxed to get to the estate.
Yes.
So, and then they're going to tax it again when it comes out of the estate to go to your kids, which is asinine.
Yeah.
You
it is.
know, and like here's another thing which people don't understand, right? So I have done, I'm not doing it so much right now, I've done what I call house calls. I go to people's houses and I charge them a fee to work on their computers, right? So they pay me based on my rate, they pay me my rate, right? So
Mhm.
here's the person who has their job, right? They're making money, they're paying taxes, and they have what they have left over is their income, right? Which has already been taxed. They're giving it to me, which then I get taxed for it again because I have to claim it on my taxes, right?
Mhm.
So um there
And
I've had,
if you hire somebody to do some work, you're giving them and they get taxed again. That's
or if I go buy something with that already taxed money that I have to pay taxes on,
right.
I'm paying taxes on it, especially because I spend a lot of money in gas,
Oh yeah, they
right?
tax money over and over and over again. They do.
59 cents per gallon I'm paying in taxes for gas,
Mhm.
right? So it's like it's taxed everywhere, and people are like, oh yeah, well, well, whatever, so if
Well,
you know
here's
if
the thing, and I heard Joe Rogan
go
say
ahead.
this the other day, and I got to agree with him. And this is the way I think also. I wouldn't mind paying taxes if they spent our money wisely. They spend it on stupid
Wow.
shit, give it to their friends, and it's just ridiculous.
USAID, just want to
Yeah,
throw that out there.
and there's some good things in the USAID. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but there's a
yeah,
lot of waste in there where they were giving away to their friends just bullshit stuff. But
yeah,
anyways, I digress. Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
All right, so then next one, we did increase child tax credit, savings account for kids. Children under 8
Mhm.
would receive $1,000 each to open special savings accounts. Free tax contributions to account limited to $5,000 annually until the child's 18. So, if they can open it when they're 8, you can basically put $50,000 in the account before they turn 18. So they're going to have 51,000 that they started with, but if
Mhm.
it's accruing money, it could be worth a significant amount of money when they turn
Yeah,
18.
yeah,
Savings can be used after the child turns 18.
right.
So it doesn't say who gets to use the
So
savings; it just says the savings account for kids.
I wonder if that's
So
kind of like a Roth account. You put all the
yeah,
money in, and all the interest you get, then the kid gets it when they're 18, and then there's no tax on it when they get it.
yeah,
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 that sounds pretty cool. I like
yeah.
that. Well,
Private.
here's let me go with a couple now since you've been going down
Okay.
there. I'll go down this road. What areas would get less money from the bill? Medicare.
Yeah, there.
Estimated savings over the next 10 years, $1 trillion. 11.8 million people could lose their health insurance coverage over the next decade. Adds 80-hour per month work requirement for adults without children or disability, which there's way too many people getting this anyway. That
Right.
could be outworked. There's also this only works if jobs come back to America. Okay. Because then you have factories coming back where people can get jobs where they can get insurance and stuff like that. More
Well,
frequent eligibility checks. More frequent eligibility checks. I don't know what that means. But.
so that means they're going to be checking more frequently to see if
Oh,
you're still
okay.
eligible
See
to
if you're
get
eligible. Okay,
Medicaid.
got it. I was thinking
Yeah.
when I said checks, I was thinking like a check,
Welfare
money,
check?
like a
Oh,
money.
or
Yeah,
or you're sending money. There you go.
yeah.
All right, gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
Program would not fund services at clinics that also perform abortions. Yeah, that's a weird one, but
Well, basically, they're saying that Medicare shouldn't be funding abortions, right?
well,
It,
they
it
could
wants
say
to
that.
fund some stuff, but
They should
if
say that because I agree with that. They
well,
should
it's
be.
basically saying programs would not fund services at clinics that also perform abortion. So if your clinic is performing abortion, you don't get the fund. If your
Right, but
clinic is not
what
performing
but what about
abortions,
all
then
the
you
other
get the
stuff
fund.
that you're doing that is worth getting money for?
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure how to answer that question except
See,
for to realize that.
that's the way I think it should have been worded. Is it can't be used for abortion because
Right, but then they just
Planned
twist it.
Parenthood
They
does
just
do some stuff that's good. Okay.
right, but then they just twist it and they say, "Oh, we're gonna send this to medical services, but little Jody's gonna go get an abortion, and we're
And
gonna
if that
declare
happens,
this."
then they go to jail. That should be
But
the
that's what they're already doing, and they're not going to jail. They're not supposed to be harvesting baby parts, and they are.
Well, if
Right?
you
Nobody
put
wants to
it in the
talk
bill,
about that.
if you're putting it in the bill that if you can't fund abortions, and you do, then you go to jail.
Well, there's already a law, and maybe I'm not making this clear or not, but I think I am, and I'm just not saying it correctly. If there's already a law that you can't harvest baby parts for sale, and they're doing it, what difference would it make if you wrote in this law that says you can't use the money that you're getting at your clinic if you're going to use it for abortions? Because they're already violating the law that says you can't harvest baby parts because they are.
So who's
right?
violating that law? I've never heard of that.
Planned Parenthood. Look it up.
I will.
Planned
I'm gonna look
Parenthood
it
has
up.
been caught multiple times, and usually the people that catch them in these undercover investigations are the people that go to jail. They don't imprison or fine anybody at Planned Parenthood, even though they have proven that
So
they're
they're saying
selling
that
baby parts in the
the
open
people.
market.
So they're saying the people that get caught are the only people. They don't go above them, like
No,
who's supervising
no,
them,
the people, the person who's exposing the people that are doing the deed, right? So, like, if
Mhm.
I did investigative reporting and I have all the information that shows that Planned Parenthood down in C Street and Ninth is doing organ harvesting in their thing. I would go to jail because I exposed it, and they would not be charged with a crime. That's what's happened on these people that
Well,
have
I think there's a
found
lot
these
more
out.
to it than what you're saying, but I don't.
Well, look it
I
up.
I I will, and I don't. I think it's probably because, and I don't think you're totally wrong. I think if they exposed it, the people should go to jail also. But what if they're doing something illegal to get the information that they're exposing? That's what I think is probably going on. They did something illegal to get the information, and that's why they're going to jail. But in my mind, that doesn't make any difference to the people who they're giving the information to. They should also go to jail if that's the case. And I don't know what the case is because I've
Right.
never heard the thing that you're talking about. But
Right. I don't want to argue the point, belittle the point, but the reason I'm bringing the point up is the law's already being broken. So to say that if you're going to reward it, that says programs that would not fund services at clinics that also perform abortions. If you worded it said the clinic would get a fund as long as they didn't use it for abortions. Well, if they're already violating existing laws, what would stop them from violating that law?
then
Right?
you gotta what's the word I'm thinking for? You gotta enforce the law.
Right.
And
But
if they're not
it's
enforcing the law now, then they got to just say we're going to enforce the law, and this is the way it's going to be. Of course, then
Right.
how that goes too. But anyways, let's move on.
Yeah, moving on. Yeah.
Tightened rules for payments to states. Then SNAP requires states to provide funding for food assistance program. Only provide to permanent legal residents.
Right.
New York requirements. New work requirements.
New work. I read the same thing.
55 to 64 requires congressional approval to increase benefits. Exempts Alaska and Hawaii for cost sharing.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
I wish I understood what that meant more. I don't like making exemptions when you make a law. I don't like.
Yeah, because usually it means
unless you're gonna
backroom deal that says
unless you're going to exempt
it
it for everybody, don't exempt it for some. And I had this conversation about Obamacare. There were 3 states they had to change the law to get the 3 congressmen to vote for it, and only those 3 states got to change it. And actually, each state was different. The change that they made, and only those 3 states got it. And I said, that's bribery. That's not. If you're going to make the changes, make it so everybody gets it. But anyways, I digress.
Right. Yep.
Green energy rollbacks repeals $7,500 tax credit for electric cars September 30th, 2020. I better get down and buy myself an electric car, along with other rules encouraging Americans to adopt electric cars.
Well, that may be one of the reasons that there's a little tiff going on between President Trump and
Elon
Musk
right now. That's exactly
it.
That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
Then it says, how big is the bill for tax bill? Depending on whom you ask, on Capitol Hill, the cost of the bill could be as little as 440 billion, while other more conventional estimates put the cost at nearly 10 times higher, or that'd be 4 trillion if you can't do the math.
Yep. $4.4 trillion. Yeah, if you can't do the, the
And-
great thing about the 10 is just add a zero, so it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
otherwise I wouldn't be able to figure it out. I'm just saying.
As a Senate Republicans push towards the passage, they requested that the Joint Committee on Taxation omit the 2017 tax cuts in a new estimate. Without those portions, the bill's total cost falls to 441 billion. Senate Republicans argue that because the bill extends current tax law, those cuts shouldn't be counted. More traditional methods have pegged. Yeah, so we're not going to count everything because that wasn't part of whatever.
No,
costs around 2.7 trillion to 3.3 trillion.
You understand what they're saying, though, right? They're saying these taxes are already in effect, so it's not going to change anything. It's not like it's going to add more tax breaks. These tax breaks are already in effect, so you can't say, "Oh, we're going to add it again and recalculate it with the 2017 cuts and now the 2024 cuts."
What the opposition
says,
is, if you didn't make this law, tax would go to this other place, and then that's right. Where they're saying the difference is, okay?
But again,
and I understand both sides. I understand both sides. I understand what you're saying, but what they're saying also makes sense too. Right. Both sides make sense. But
just to be clear, to make a point that has nothing to do with our argument, these are the same folks who say, "Well, you can't cut taxes because we already have expenditures. We have to pay these bills. Yeah. You can't cut the taxes because we owe this money." It's like, well, you spent the money before you had it, you idiot. So why is it all of a sudden I got to pay for it because you didn't budget it correctly?
I remember when the economy sucked. It was really bad. and we borrowed money from China. It was either Bush or Obama. I don't remember which one it was. When the economy was really bad, they borrowed money from China. I think it was Obama, but I'm not absolutely sure on that. Borrowed like $2 trillion from. So when is that paid off? So once that gets paid. So let's just say we're paying them $100 billion a year or $200 billion a year, whatever we're paying them to pay that debt off. Once that debt gets paid off, there's $200 billion freed up. We don't have to spend that. We can save it. And there's other things we borrowed money from too that we could. I always wonder, like when do these things get paid off so that we start saving that money that we're paying. But my problem is all the people in our government are going, oh wait, we're gonna be done paying this $200 billion a year to China. Let's find something else to spend that money on.
Exactly. That's the problem. There's no fiscal conservativeness in any of these people. Even the ones that say they're fiscally conservative. I mean, except for Rand Paul, there's not a single one of those people that are in the House and the Senate right now that are fiscally conservative. Because, and my brother and I said this multiple times. We're going to pass a big, beautiful bill, right? What are we still $26 trillion in debt? So we're gonna $36 trillion in debt. We're gonna give a tax cut, but we're $36 trillion in debt. And I struggle with this because I believe that if you give a tax break, the government will take in more money because people will spend more money. However, we're still $36 trillion in debt, and nobody seems to be doing a damn thing about it. They don't care.
Right, and I've said this before.
We'll just print some more money.
What they could have done here, I think, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Actually, is what they could have done here is they could have made these tax cuts permanent, but postponed them for 2 years. So the tax cuts go away. Everybody pays the more taxes that they're going to pay for 2 years, and in those 2 years, the regulations and the tariffs and stuff like this will help bring business back. Once that business gets back, then you give the tax cuts, and I think that's a better way to do it. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
Yes. But
anyway. Yeah, I mean, there is history that shows that it does work. Argentina is a classic example right now. If people want to investigate it because they were, I forgot how many trillions of dollars they were in debt. And when the new guy came into power, the one that had the chainsaw that was cutting all the programs and everything, when Elon Musk went on the stage with a chainsaw that he got from the Argentinian president, right? When they were doing all those cuts, basically they're in the black now. They're in the positive territory now with the money that they're making and all the cuts that they made, right?
Well,
and we're talking 2 years, 2 years or less.
So this is the thing. our government has let this go on for so long. The only way to fix it is there's going to be suffering, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everyone can take blame for it. And you can try to, let's just say Trump came up with all these cuts. You know, we're cutting this, we're cutting that, we're cutting this, we're cutting that, and we're paying off our debt, and we're going to get it to come down. And this is going to hurt us for like 4 or 5 years, and then we'll start coming back to normal. Okay.
Right.
That is probably the best way to do it. And everybody would blame Trump. I would blame all the people that came before him.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah, because they've never done anything about it.
There was a guy in New York City. He's the guy. He ran for president as a Democrat. Little short guy, Mike Bloomberg, and he became the mayor of New York City. And this is a true story. He became the mayor of New York City. New York City was almost bankrupt. Okay, they were so far in debt they were almost bankrupt. He started cutting things. He cut the fire department. He cut the police department. He cut everything. He cut everything across the board. And people were bitching at him and blah, blah, blah. 2 years, he started hiring all these people back because now they're fiscally sound. Okay. But people suffered to get there. And in my opinion, because of all the idiots that came before now, that's what has to be done. And and then they loved him after that too. They loved him. He got 3 terms. He got a 3rd term, made a special rule so he could get elected a 3rd time. They loved him in New York because after he did that, he started hiring everybody back and they were fiscally sound and things were better in New York City.
Yeah.
And now they suck again. But that's
how long ago was that? How long ago was that? That was before that was Bloomberg before De Blasio, right?
Was there anybody between them?
No, I think it was Bloomberg.
I think it was Bloomberg then De Blasio.
Eric. And Eric Adams or whatever his name was. Yep. So De Blasio,
hey, Aunt Brenda just said hi. Or she just
hey, Aunt Brenda.
Heart. So
hello, Aunt Brenda. Praise God.
I didn't see her come on, but
she's
sneaking on. She's a little sneaking on. Aunt Brenda.
She's a covert watcher. She doesn't want anyone to know she's watching, but she's covertly watching her show. Yeah. So, well, we've been on for
a long time,
an hour and 16 minutes. So we're about 16 minutes past our normal.
It was a good thing though.
Yeah, I think it was a good thing. I think we had a great conversation. A lot more we talk about, but we won't talk about it tonight. We'll talk about it another time. But we want to say God bless America. God bless our troops. God bless our firefighters and our police officers, because now more than ever, we need to be reaching out and, lifting them up in prayer and protecting them when we can, because there's a lot of anti-government socialist faction right now that is just wanting to try to eliminate these people.
It's okay to peacefully protest against whatever's going on.
Yeah, but you don't get to block. You don't get to block their job, what they're doing. Because you don't like what they're doing, or you scream, "Where's
you
your?"
You have rights
where's
right
your
up
warrant?
Until the point that you infect somebody else's rights. Then you no longer have those rights.
Yeah, and just also so you know, if you touch a police officer when he's in his duty, that's an assault. I don't care whether you like it or not. That's an assault, and you're going to go to jail. So, because we have a president that says we're not putting up with this stuff, right? So we want to thank them. We want to thank our first responders, thank our police officers, thank our workers, our health workers, our ambulance drivers, and all of our first responders. God bless them. God bless America, and God bless you guys for coming out and listening to us, because we really appreciate you. Tell your friends that you're watching us if you like us and like what we're saying, and just recommend us and promote us.
With opposite opinions too. We don't care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's going to be nice. No one's going to call anybody names, or else I will find them. Anyway, God bless you all, and
including
God bless
me.
America.
Yes, God bless America. Happy 4th of July. Praise God.
Praise God.
Your music's not playing very loud. I'm just saying. So
okay,
I'm just gonna end the stream. All right.
End it now. Yeah.
End it now.